Tonight, we're going to be sharing information that's essential for you to be thinking about as you're starting to plan your child's transition to school. You will be asked to provide consent to share that information with your early years professional, with the school team, and anytime when families consent, they're emailed a hard copy of the student profile or the TIPP that might be shared with the school. So you'll have access to all of those copies that are going to be shared with your permission as well. When we're thinking about our child transitioning to school, it can be a little bit exciting, but also a little bit scary. So tonight we're going to walk through that transition timeline, starting in January right through to September, in hopes to ease any concerns or questions you might have. It will also allow for some information sharing from a variety of members of teams that are going to support you and your child throughout this transition and once they get to school. So let's talk a little bit about what's happening right now or what may have happened so far. It's hard to believe we're just about in March, but in January and February, your teams may have started talking to you about a projection sheet and getting registered for school. So in terms of your kind of what you need to do, it's time to register, so you can log on to the school board. If you're not sure about which school board you're thinking about, you're in the right place. We'll walk through a little bit about each of those school boards tonight as well. Into March, people are going to start to talk to you a little bit about the student profile. And what that is it just gives you a really quick snapshot of your child's needs that we share with the school team. And that allows us to start that conversation and collaboration with your new school team as well. It might provide a little bit of information on how your child dresses, toilets, maybe even eats, and also provides some additional information on safety needs, self-regulation, and accessibility. The completed student profile is shared with the school board of your choice, as you've given consent to share with, and information that is shared through the student profile will help when you're developing your classroom groups, requesting EA support, and ensuring that the building will meet the needs of the incoming students. So this month, you can also start to check out some kindergarten readiness programs that may be near you at organizations such as Early On. And with that, I'll pass it off to Corey to tell us a little bit about the Early On programs.
Hello, everybody. My name is Corey Patton, and I'm a preschool services supervisor with Empower Simcoe. And one of the programs that I support is Early On Child and Family Centers. It is a program that exists across the province, but within Simcoe County, there are sites all over the place for you to visit. It's available to parents, caregivers, and their little ones up to their 7th birthday. So a really great spot to come and visit, do a little bit of socializing, get to know other kids, and do a little bit of kindergarten readiness while you're there. We do work, all of our staff are early childhood educators with a number of other background pieces that allow them to support you with strengthening your relationship with your child or your little loved ones. We do a lot of parent education, and we work with healthy child development as well. You go to the next slide, Megan. Excellent. So one of the things we do within the Early On Child and Family Center, if you have questions, is to look at early development and early developmental milestones. So, if you have questions, maybe you have other children in your home or in your care that you'd like to sort of chat with someone about, if you aren't connecting with your resource consultant or your infant and child development worker at that point, you can certainly come and chat with us. We can support you with a developmental screening. We also base all of our programming on something called a pedagogy. It's called How Does Learning Happen? And it's one of those documents in the province that we sort of live and die by. It also informs the kindergarten curriculum. So when you come to visit with us, some of the things that we're going to be doing are things that your child will see when they get to kindergarten. It'll look very much the same. And then starting in April, we also have targeted Getting Ready for K programs. So if that's something you're interested in, it's 4 sessions at each group. They happen all over the county. They also happen virtually, so you can register for one of those. If you'd like your child to do something, if you'd like your child to do a program to get ready for school. If you don't get into one of those, not to worry, just come and play with us. You'll learn lots about school. As I mentioned, there are early on programs across the county. They are operated by a number of agencies, but we all work together to ensure that you have the same look and feel and support at every program that you visit. If you go to any one of our websites to register for a program or to visit us, you'll be able to connect with any of the other programs within the county. There are also French language services and French language early on programs available within the county if that is a better fit for you.
So as we move into April, we're going to get a little bit into the TIPP, which some families may have experienced for their transitional integrated program plan starting in January. So this is overall a report that is written by members of the early intervention team, including maybe your occupational therapist, your speech and language pathologist, and your early intervention specialist like infant development or a resource consultant that's going to support you with writing this. Any goals or strategies that are currently working for your child or that you have for your child are identified in here. And those are really important to share with the school team because it gives the schools a great idea of some strategies that they can start to implement when your child starts in the school year. It just helps them have their best opportunity for the smooth transition and a best start into a new system. When we talk about finalizing the TIPP, and really what does finalizing that mean? It means that all of the information that is included in that report has been shared with and reviewed by you. So we understand and know that you are the experts in your child and know that you know them the best. So although we write the report, we do it in collaboration with families, and we want to make sure that it is an accurate reflection of your child's skill levels. As we move into May and June, we are going to be looking at a school transition meeting. And that's scheduled for you so that you have an opportunity to share any visions and concerns that you might have. It gives you an opportunity to highlight all of the strengths for your child and develop a plan to accommodate any needs that they might have. School staff might take the time to discuss and clarify any of those strategies that you've shared with them in the TIPP document if it's been completed already. And your resource consultant or infant child development worker is going to be able to support you with sharing that information on behalf of the early intervention team and discuss anything that's in the TIPP as they need to. This meeting really provides an opportunity to clarify any referrals or supports from early intervention and allows you and your school team to start to develop that positive relationship because you guys are going to be the ones working together going forward. With that,
Good evening, everyone. Sorry. So my name is Samara Hannon. I'm a family services supervisor with Empower Simcoe. And I'm just going to start chatting a little bit about the Entry to School program, which is through the Ontario Autism Program, or OAP. In York and Simcoe, the Entry to School program is provided through the York Simcoe Autism Network. We call ourselves YSAN, and we're a partnership of agencies that came together to plan and provide programs to families through the OAP. So the logos here represent all of the agencies across York and Simcoe who provide entry to school for local families. Can you go to the next slide? So the program is funded by the Ministry of Children, Community and Social Services. It's at no cost to families. In order for children to be eligible, they have to have a diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder. They have to be registered with the Ontario Autism Program. They must have received an invitation through Access OAP, and they have to be between the ages of 3 and 6 years old as of December 31st of the year that the child will be entering school. And they really have to be entering school, either kindergarten or grade 1, for the first time. So if a child is receiving poor clinical funding, they wouldn't be eligible for entry to school. And if they've already started attending school, they wouldn't be eligible for this program. So there are 2 phases of the program that's offered. The first phase is a group-based skill building program. So this is a drop-off program. It's like parents don't stick around and attend. It's delivered by a multidisciplinary team. They have expertise in early childhood development, early learning environments, autism spectrum disorder, applied behavior analysis, and early intervention. The focus is on skill building in the areas of communication, play, social interaction, functional routines, behavioral self-management, and pre-academics and learning and attention. So the program's offered twice a year, depending on the time of year and the location. It's offered either 4 months or 6 months. So in the spring, it's 6 months. In the fall, it's a 4-month program. It's either offered as half days or an extended morning. Typically, if it's an extended morning, it's not offered 5 full days through the week, but it can vary depending on the area. Currently, Simcoe's offering the program in an A-B model. So children would attend longer days, but attend either Monday, Wednesday, alternating Fridays, or Tuesday, Thursday with alternating Fridays. So after they've completed the 6 months or 4 months of the group-based skill program, they would transition into school and then be eligible to receive up to 6 months of individualized transition supports. So an entry to school team member would work with the family and work with the school transition team to make sure that the skills that they learned in the entry to school program are generalized into the classroom and that transition is successful. So it's a consultative model. The staff would attend meetings, they'd complete observations at the school, and they give strategies and resources to the school team. During both phases, with families' consent, the entry to school team has the ability to collaborate with the early intervention teams as well. And so finally, I just want to share how to learn more information about the entry to school program and how to register. So our website, ystandnetwork.ca, has a lot of information, and not just about entry to school. There are other OAP programs that are detailed on the website. As well, you can contact directly the OAP intake, the email's listed there, and the phone number, and they're very helpful if you have any questions specific about your child or about what's offered in your area. You can give them a call and find out more info.
And not to worry if anyone's trying to take notes or write this down. If you do want a copy of the slideshow, you can always connect with your infant child development worker or your resource consultant following the presentation to have access to the slides, which includes all of these great links and information to access these programs.
My colleague Marsha Walker has been kicked out and back in on and off, and I just got a message she's back, and then one that she's not. My name is Shannon Thompson. I'm a consultant in special education with the public board, so Simcoe County District School Board, and I'll just cover for my friend here. She is the manager for before and after school programs, and most schools in Simcoe County, I would say, have an before and after school program. They're run by licensed childcare operators. They are kindergarten to grade 6 before and or after school hours. And there are some of them that actually operate on PD days or PA days, different breaks such as winter, March break, and summer holidays. So you can check in with the program that runs in your school. Our RCs, our resource consultants, actually work with the staff in the childcare programs and help to build on strengths and share strategies and things like that. So they are it's very holistic planning for the children who attend. And if you're interested, it's highly recommended that you register before June 30th. I know it's pretty competitive and they do get wait lists. And the registration can be done through the school, and also I know that there's information on the board websites as well.
Hi, everyone. I am Jamie Upham, and I am one of the early years facilitators for Simcoe County District School Board. So I work with Shannon and Marcia. But the information that I'm going to provide about once we begin school is not unique to any school board. This comes directly from the ministry, the Ontario Ministry of Education, through the Kindergarten Program 2016. So that is our guiding document. And so, you know, the kindergarten program, it was very exciting when there were changes made to the program beginning in 2009. And so the kindergarten program is a child-centered, developmentally appropriate, integrated program of learning for 4- and 5-year-old children. The purpose of the program is to establish a strong foundation for all learning, and that is done in a safe and caring, play-based environment that promotes physical, social, emotional, and cognitive development for all children. The goals of the program are to establish a strong foundation for learning, to help children to make a smooth transition from home or childcare or a preschool setting to a school setting, to allow children to reap the many proven benefits of play and inquiry-based learning and learning through relationships, and to set children on a path to lifetime learning and to nurture competencies that they will need today to thrive, but also in the world of tomorrow. When we think about this, it's a very all-encompassing model. We have 4 frames of learning. And so when we often think of school, we think of academics. And so that composes one element of the program. But the other 3 frames of learning in the kindergarten program are self-regulation and well-being, problem solving and innovating, and belonging and contributing. So really, we are looking at our whole child. The program reflects the belief that all children are competent and capable learners, full of potential and ready to take ownership of their learning. It approaches children as unique individuals who live and learn within families and communities. And based on these beliefs and the knowledge gained from research and proven in practice, the program supports the creation of a learning environment. Oh, now you can hear my kids. In a learning environment that allows children to feel comfortable in applying their unique ways of thinking and learning. So aligning with that, the program also honors the knowledge that parents bring to us. So as the slide says, you are the expert on your child and your child's first teacher. Your role in this process as we transition to school is so important as their advocate, as a curious mind to ask questions and wonder about how this might impact your child, or if this is what will best serve your child. So, continue to advocate that you're here and supporting your children in this way is a huge first step. We are so lucky when you are working with transition services that you have the gentle transition. You'll have the opportunity to meet some of the people that will work with your child. So in every classroom, there are 2 educators. There's an early childhood educator, a designated early childhood educator, and an Ontario certified teacher. They collaborate to provide programming for all children. You'll also possibly have educational assistants who may be working in a classroom to support children in a variety of other ways, as well as many other paraprofessionals. So we often have occupational therapy or speech therapy that are supporting some of the students within a classroom. When we really see the program, lived out in the more we communicate with families and the more we share with one another about children, the better the results for everyone. And so it really is that community feel. If you are utilizing other services, at this time, some of that information would be shared through the transition plan. However, communicating those things helps us to best provide and program for your child. So, always remember, you are the voice within your child. You are advocating for their well-being and their belonging. And again, you are their expert. So continue to wear those roles with pride, and look forward to developing many new relationships.
Good evening and welcome. My name is Jacqueline McBride, and I'm an elementary special education consultant with the Simcoe Catholic District School Board. In my role, I have the privilege of serving school teams with transition planning, special education programming, accessing services, and liaising with outside agencies. The next few slides I will be speaking to, the messaging is the same across all school boards in the area, so I'm just a voice for all boards in these next couple of slides. Naturally, your child's safety and well-being is our priority. Just letting you know that currently masks are optional in our schools, but they are welcome to be worn if your child wants to, or if you want your child to wear a mask at school. Children are encouraged to practice good hand washing hygiene. And we've also linked in here the website for the Simcoe Muskoka District Health Unit, because we do take our information from the local unit regarding our health protocols in our schools. And just a note that guidelines in effect today do not necessarily reflect what will be in place for September. So we're constantly liaising with the district health unit, and we invite you to check out their website on an ongoing basis as well. Regarding safety planning, again, your child's safety is our utmost priority. And schools and educators are committed to ensuring the safety of your child. So it's important to discuss any safety concerns you may have with your school team at the transition meeting. Some children naturally need additional support to adjust to kindergarten, and school teams may address these needs through a variety of accommodations. So we've listed a few here, but the list is not definite. There could be other things that the school team could do too. So the things we have listed here are additional supervision, stop signs posted within the school environment, alarms or bells on doors, fenced play yard, hand-in-hand transition, social narratives, positive behavior support plans and reinforcement systems, where appropriate, an individual education plan and a goal to support safety, medical plans as well for those students who require that. And where a student's behavior poses an ongoing risk of injury to self or others, a plan for safety can be developed under the direction of the principal to support the student. And just note that these plans can be developed at any time and they are reviewed regularly. So as Jamie had discussed earlier tonight, you are the expert on your child. We welcome your voice into all these conversations because we want to make sure that your concerns are addressed. When looking at toileting and readiness, it's important to promote independence with your child in using the washroom before they begin school. Please discuss your child's anticipated level of support with the school team at the transition to school meeting. In cases where children require support with toileting needs at school, accommodations may include visual prompting, verbal prompting and reminders, time toileting schedules, and for students for whom they have a developmental concern necessitating full support in the washroom, we can accommodate that. And we have accessible washrooms in our schools, and students have access to change tables as required. Who provides this support? So the educational assistant in the school would provide support with toileting. It would not be the classroom teacher or the designated early childhood educator. It would be an educational assistant. And we request that parents provide diapers and or pull-ups and wipes, and just make sure, as always, parents, that you have change of clothes sent to school. We recommend at least a couple of sets, top to bottom, right down to the socks. Quite often, parents will send in extra clothes in a large Ziploc bag. Please label everything, because as you can imagine, when we have lots of little ones with all these Ziploc bags full of all these gorgeous outfits, we want to make sure that your child is going to change into their own clothing. So thank you very much for that. And I'll turn it over to Shannon.
I think that's one of the #1 takeaways tonight is to start labeling. You have time. I'm just going to talk a little bit about transportation in Simcoe County. Through the Simcoe County Student Transportation Consortium, I got it. We put some live links into this PowerPoint for you. The first gives you some general information and a main stopping point to learn more about the SCSTC and how transportation works in Simcoe County. Eligibility, whether you can find out whether your address is in the walk zone or in the transportation zone for your local school. And also we know that little 3 and 4 and 5-year-olds who are attending school for the first time may never have actually gotten onto a school bus or experienced what it's like to be standing at that school bus stop. So there are videos. One, as a parent, you can watch to help prepare your child for what a bus experience can be like, and one that goes through it, speaking directly to your child. In the summer, towards the end of the summer, there are usually in-person sessions called the First Rider Program. So you can just watch for that. And your school should have a newsletter, or your school board, and usually they'll send alerts about when information about the First Rider Program is released. And in the case of specialized transportation, so if you have a wheelchair accessible bus or a van that's going to be arranged, then you may be able to set up a time to kind of go over those things and actually get into one of the vans and just see what that would feel like prior to September. In the case of specialized transportation, unless it's approved by a superintendent, all students who live in the walk zone are going to be walking to school, and many with your help probably, or with an older brother and sister. And anyone who resides beyond the walking zone has has eligibility for the big yellow school bus. And in some instances, we have families that apply, or schools that apply for specialized transportation, which, like I said, may be in the form of a wheelchair accessible bus or a specialized van. And this eligibility is, like I said, it's based on approval, and it might require a note from a family doctor, but it is expressly for children who cannot safely ride a regular school bus or walk safely with an adult due to a particular disability. And it's usually reviewed annually, unless, of course, there's a physical challenge that would limit the opportunity to move into or integrate onto the school bus or walk to school. So any questions you have about transportation, and actually any questions you have that aren't general transition to school questions, be jotting them down on a little piece of paper and bring those to your meeting, because you're going to want to ask your school team any of your community specific questions, or any of your homeschool or homeschool team specific questions. We talk a lot about generalities here, and many, are across all of the different school boards. We have 5 different school boards in Simcoe County. So if you have specific questions about your individual case, you want to bring all of those to the school. And at the bottom, if we have a child who requires a harness or a booster or a seatbelt lock or anything like that, so we can make sure that children are safe, then you need to bring those up at the meeting. We might ask what your child's weight is and things like that. Jamie mentioned that we want you as parents to be talking about and helping to prep and sharing your enthusiasm about starting school. Well, how do you become an expert, especially if this is the first child that you're sending to school? This is a screenshot of our school board website, but all the different school boards have the resources that you need to help prep your child for school. So I'm just showing the pathway when you log on, or when you put SCDSB, or when you put in the school board name into a search engine of your choice. I don't work for Google, but I often use that as a verb. You'll come up with a base page here. And in our case, you would go to elementary and then planning for school. And then you can see down that panel, the drop down menu that comes out. So you can search the schools, search for your school, what might be your home school, see information about childcare programs. In this case, you'll see the link to registration, also a link to transportation if you want to find out more information. And under that kindergarten link is a plethora of information about tips to get ready for school, about orientation sessions. But like I said, whenever you choose a school and you choose a school board, that website has a lot of different information on it. And also just slide over to the left. I'm going to talk a little bit about special education, a parent guide. Again, each school board has a parent guide and a special education plan. Pardon me. And you'll see that under planning for school, and then just go down to special education. So learning to navigate your school board's website is going to be a skill that you can pick up with practice. So we provided some links to some of the resources that our school board provides. I was mentioning those little sections will open up a new page. You'll find kindergarten information booklets in there, tips for registration, what you need to have with you in order to register at a school, proof of address, things like that. Everything you need in order to register your child for school. And it's a pretty easy online process in the case of our school board. I can't speak to the other school boards, but you can get it done pretty quickly. And we also have a Kindergarten Connections newsletter. It's a monthly newsletter, and you can see back issues in case you find them so interesting you can't put them down and you want to learn more. But I highly encourage you to subscribe to those kindergarten newsletters so you can stay on top of things. There's also some videos showing a day in the life of kindergarten and other videos that kind of help you to guide your children to get ready for kindergarten. So all kindergarten classes have some of the those big things, like here's some tips about creating 2 snack piles because we have nutrition breaks twice a day. Here's some tips for your belongings, and I bet you it mentions labeling in there. It talks about self-care and the importance of following routines and learning routines. And of course, what happens at the end of the day when it's home time, when the whole school does the mass exodus to the bus and we find our gym bags and how, you know, what that routine looks like. So all those tools for helping your children prep for the big day are located on your school board's website. So I mentioned when we were looking at our staff website, if you go to elementary and then down to special education, there's a lot of information in there, including videos from SEAC meetings. But there's a parent's guide to special education, and it is is updated. Ours in particular was updated in 2023, and it will answer all of those mysterious questions about special education and about teaching. We use a lot of acronyms. I could probably give you, speak in a run-on sentence for 3 minutes and then have 2 whole words in there sometimes when we're at school. So it gives you a legend to understand IEP and IPRC and what's an SERT. Well, that's a special education resource teacher. And sometimes we just get so used to using all these acronyms, we forget that it's a whole other language. So the parent guide for your particular board will give you just an overview of how special education works in your board. Does your board have different placements once your child grows up? We're all very inclusive in kindergarten, and your children are supported in the regular classroom, but different school boards have different different processes for special education in the case of different placements. And we all follow the Ministry of Education. We have identifications, depending on whether there's a diagnosis and whether or not you should, go for an identification and what's an IEP. All of those different things are answered in these parent guides. And print one out and keep it with you. You'll have a profile, you'll have a tip for your child going into school, and start keeping all of those. You'll have your report cards that come out. In the case of kindergarten, it's communication of learning. I think that's still the language. So start keeping all those things together. And then if you have questions about special ed, please ask your team. You're going to have a special education resource teacher and a principal and a VP, and we're all in this together. So write down any questions, bring them to your transition meeting, and ask those to the people who are going to be your family unless you move for the next 10 years or so until your child goes into secondary.
Okay. So if you're looking for a faith-based education for your child, we encourage you to consider registering at one of our schools with the Simcoe Catholic District School Board. Linked here on our slide, we do have our school board's online kindergarten registration page. So again, if you request this slide deck, you can just click on that and it'll take you right where you need to go. But note that all of these pieces I'm speaking about are directly located on our school board website. So in order to register your child at one of our schools, you would require a proof of age, either the child or the parent's baptismal certificate, record of immunization, proof of residential address, and then direction of school, your tax support. But this is all spelled out on the online registration form, and through that process, it is quite easy, is what I'm hearing from parents. So if you have any questions or concerns about the registration process along the way, please don't hesitate to contact the school directly. The school's office administrators, the secretary, or the principal will be able to assist you. Not a problem whatsoever. Also on our slide here, you will find links to our school board's kindergarten program page on our website, and there are all kinds of awesome resources here for you and your family to check out. So there's information about the kindergarten program itself, lots of resources for parents, including helpful videos on how to support your child in getting ready for kindergarten, and information on childcare programs, and just all sorts of good stuff for getting ready for the big day. And so here at Simcoe Muskoka Catholic, we follow a model of inclusion. So we believe that inclusion's about relationships and belonging, and that it's about the attitudes we have and demonstrate through our actions towards each other. And it's the responsibility of everyone, and that inclusion essentially is rooted in the gospel. So with this model, the students in our school board are supported in the context of a regular classroom, where there is a classroom teacher and a designated early childhood educator, also known as a DECE. As Shannon previously mentioned, we do use a lot of acronyms in our schools. So if anyone is using an acronym when they're talking to you moving forward, please just slow them down and have them spell out to you what that means. So depending on the needs of the children in the class, there might also be an educational assistant assigned. And although students are supported in the regular classroom in our school board, we do have spaces to support students throughout the school. So for example, if a student has sensory needs, they need to access a different space to calm or engage in quiet activities, we can certainly look at supporting your child in accessing those spaces. So the transition to kindergarten is such an exciting time, not only for your child, but for you as well. And I can imagine that you might be feeling a little anxious, possibly even overwhelmed with all the information that you're receiving. But I just want you to feel reassured that we will work in collaboration with you through a team approach to set your child up for a safe and successful transition to school. So at our transition meetings, we'll have an opportunity to learn about your child's strengths and areas of need. And we'll also discuss supports and services that your child may require, as well as any equipment or transportation needs that they have. So please bring all your questions to those meetings. We're really excited to have these conversations with you. And moving forward too, please don't hesitate to bring anything to our attention so we can address it in a timely manner. Here on the slide as well, we have linked in our transition to school transition planning brochure, as well as our parents' guide to special education here for your reference. So as Shannon mentioned, with the local public school board, we have the same sorts of documents in our school board as well, where you will find all the information you need to navigate special education and all that jazz. But again, please reach out if you have any questions whatsoever. And we hope that you will consider Catholic education for your child, and we look forward to welcoming you and your child and to working together as a team through this transition. Thank you.
Thanks, Jacqueline. As we've discussed before, there are 5 school boards within the County of Simcoe. So tonight we're going to give a little bit of a brief overview about those. One of the school boards is the Protestant Separate School Board, and this school board serves students specifically who live in the town of Penetanguishene. So on this, you'll find their student registration link, Welcome to Kindergarten, which includes a lot of resources for you as well as their school website, which gives you an overall idea about who they are, what their school is, their mission and values and whatnot. So if you'd like to use those links when you get the slide deck from your infant development worker or your resource consultant, you can have a look, or you can log on and again, maybe use Google or a search engine to get some more information on there. I'll pass it on to Kristen.
Hello, bonjour, everybody. My name is Kristen Scapers. I'm a bilingual supervisor with the Resource Consultation Program in Simcoe County. I'm here tonight just to speak briefly to the opportunities that we have within Simcoe County in accessing a French language education. If that is something that you think that you would like to entertain, I will share some brief information that we know.
So there are 3 different streams that you can take to access French education within our county of Simcoe. One of them is the French immersion program. Then we also have the public school board, French school board, and then we also have a Catholic school board within the French system. Speaking first to the French immersion program that you may have heard of in the past, it is offered through our Simcoe County District School Board. It is not an all French education. It's an immersion program. So you can see on this slide how children are immersed while still attaining an English education system. And it is based on a lottery system that you can register through once your child is in grade 1. And so again, with the registration, there's no guarantee that your child is guaranteed a spot within the French immersion program. You can visit the Simcoe County District School Board website to understand a little bit more about that, and then also locate a school offering the French immersion within your area. We also have the French, Simcoe County has, like I mentioned, 2 school boards. We also have Conseil Scolaire Vieux-Monde and Conseil Scolaire Mon Avenir, which is a French Catholic. These 2 boards are a French-only education system. For the most part, parents and guardians, one of the 2 need to be primarily French speaking so that they can support their child's education. All communication to and from the school is predominantly only in French. So it is a great alternative. However, you do need to make sure that you can support your child accessing this school and have the means to be able to speak French yourself. There are some different criteria depending on the school. My best advice would be to access each school within your area to better understand what their registration policies are and what their further potential testing is to know whether or not your child qualifies to be able to enter their education system. Whoops, sorry, I just lost my slides here. Then we have Conseil Scolaire Vieux-Monde specifically. It's the French public board. As far as transition to school process, it's very similar to the English boards. If you're concerned about having a English speaking ICDP or resource consultant, that will not be an issue as far as your transition to school SNC meetings. The school is very willing to work with families who have a bilingual family, so there's no concerns of necessarily having a all French meeting and discussions at the top heavy part of the transition to school planning. And yeah, everything as far as transition planning is very similar to what is offered within the English system. Registration is open year-round and can be accessed online. The slide provides different links that you can access to the website to understand more. If you do have concerns about the links being in French, fret not, there is an opportunity to translate within the website so that you can access the information in English. And I believe that's pretty much it to speak to the public board. Sorry, I'm having a problem with my slide here. Megan, can you direct me on what slide we're on?
I'm just into the start of the Catholic French slides.
Okay, thank you. Oh, here, sorry, I minimized. I'm working with one screen at home here. So as far as Conseil Scolaire Mon Avenir, this is our Catholic board. These are the different schools within the slide. You'll see the different schools within the different areas. They do have within their website an easy tool to utilize so that you understand exactly what school is within your catchment area, your zone within your address. And again, here are the more of them. And these are all live links again to their website to understand more about what their school specifically offers. Again, when they talk about critères d'admission, so criteria like admission criteria, I'd really strongly recommend to reach out directly to the school within your area and speak to them about what their specific criteria is. Just speaking on experience, it can be based on registration. So they do have policies around their criteria, same as the public board. But you know, there can be potentially some flexibility dependent on registration that year. So just a little side note for families wanting to inquire.
And that concludes the piece on the information from the school board. So the next little part of the information session is going to include some information on different agencies that are going to remain available to support you when your child transitions to school. And we'll get started with the Children's Treatment Network.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Melanie, and I'm with the Community and Family Participation Program with Children's Treatment Network. We also like acronyms, so often referred to as CTN. Can you go to the next slide, please, Megan? So one of the new buzzwords that you may hear for CTN, Children's Treatment Network, is called Smart Start Hub. So now that you've transitioned your child to school, you may hear of this. And this is for families who may have a concern with their child's development. We do provide support to kids and youth up until their 19th birthday or completion of high school, 21, depending. And there is no cost for services. We do have some specialized clinics. And the Smart Start Hub, the idea with that is that you can access it, anyone can access it for families living in Simcoe County or York Region. If you have a question or concern about your child's development as they've transitioned to school, and maybe this team doesn't look the same anymore because your child is older, you can reach out to CTN, Children's Treatment Network, through phone or doing an online referral just to inquire about what supports might be available to your child now. There are different services and there's different eligibility criteria for each service. So by making that call, making that referral, we can coordinate a time for your family to speak with a service navigator who can learn a little bit more about your family and about the concerns you may have, and they can speak to you about what supports might be available to you in the community. Next slide, please. Thank you. Some of the supports that we have are rehabilitation services. So there are different supports like physiotherapy, speech and language, occupational therapy, and those supports that for school-age children in school are through our school-based rehabilitation services, the acronym known as SBRS. And that is a level of service that is followed by, as it says on the slide, it's a tiered model of service. So there's the one tier is for all children. So obviously we want to put supports in the classroom that will be beneficial to all children that are attending school. And you'll see different things within the classroom that are helpful to everyone that the teachers and the support team may have. And that could be some visuals. And all children do really well with that. Then there are two other levels of service, and those are more targeted and maybe a bit more specific to supports that maybe children may need. And if your child is needing any of those types of supports that's a little bit more targeted for something, your school team will be really good at noticing that, and identifying what your child's needs are and where they need a bit more support. They'll be able to speak to you about that, and they'll come up with a plan. And if they feel that your child needs a bit more support while they're in school, they will go to the SBRS program and they'll talk to you about possibly referring for additional support for your child. Next slide. So with our program, the Community and Family Participation Program, we run community events, and those events are available also in Simcoe County and in York Region, and they are available all year. We have a whole bunch of events coming up for March break. Those events are found on our calendar. So there's a code there. So again, if you're accessing this slide later, you can scan that code and that will bring you to our events calendar, which is online on CTN's website. And again, you'll see lots of different activities. We've got social events, we've got some science events, and all in person. We do offer also some virtual events, and we also have an online resource center. So if you're looking for some more information, you've got lots of places to go in addition to the school board's websites. You can go to our website, to our online resource center, and there's information about summer camps. We've got feeding information. We've got information about those therapies I just talked about. So speech and language, occupational therapy, physiotherapy. What does it mean if the school team identified a need for my child? What does that mean? And we've got some information on there you can access. And again, oh, sorry, can you just go back for 1 second? The online resource. So on there, all of these blue underlined areas are links specifically to those things. So there is the events calendar. We also have a newsletter where it can provide you with information each month as to what's going on, and you can subscribe to that. And then we also have the equipment loan program. So if you come to an event and your child needs some support with some equipment, we do have different pieces of equipment you can borrow. In the summer, if your child is needing some additional support for accessibility at a beach or in the water, we have lots of equipment that could be adapted as well as equipment that could be loaned. So we also have a list of those loanable items online as well. Okay, thanks, Megan. Okay, so in addition to some fun community events and some school-based supports, we also have access to some brief resource supports. So again, this might be something that you're finding you might need a little bit more help. Maybe your child is needing some new types of supports and you're not quite sure what it is, or maybe there's a new type of funding you feel like you can apply for and you'd like more information about that. And you might need some support just for a brief moment of time to connect you to something in the moment, whether it's summer camps or new applications or something that you've learned about. We have access to those brief resource supports, brief resource services. And again, that can be something you can inquire by calling CTN. You can do an online referral. We have what's called an exploratory call. And again, we'll connect you with somebody who can speak with you about what you're looking for information and try and connect you. We also have the community learning library, often referred to as CLL. And that's an online resource as well that you can sign up for. And we have a lot of virtual learning opportunities on there. We can provide you with all kinds of videos and information sharing. And then we also have a YouTube channel. And on there, we have great videos about vaccinations, about feeding, and how to make feeding challenges a little bit more enjoyable at home. There's different videos about crafts that you may be interested in, about some boredom busters at home, and as well as past events that we've had. Lots of great things on our YouTube channel too. When your family or your child is involved with this team of people that they're involved with, most of them have probably already been connected through the Children's Treatment Network in some way through our shared client record. And that's an electronic record that we have that provides information about your family and about your child. And it really shares with the team what your goals and your priorities are with your child and with your family. And that's what our shared client record is there for. So if at any time, if you have any questions about your shared client record, who's accessing the information on that record, you can go through CTN and you can access our health records department and inquire about any of those questions you may have.
Hello again. So within my role at Empower Simcoe, I wear many hats, and supervising our family support program is one of them. So we just want to say we do have a really robust website with Empower Simcoe. So if you're interested in learning about any of the other programs we also provide across the county, do have a look. But just jump to the next slide. I just want to briefly mention the family support program. So this is for school-age children under the age of 18 who have a diagnosis of an intellectual disability. New terminology now would call it an intellectual developmental disorder. And they have to live at home with their caregivers. So navigating all these services for your children takes a lot of time and coordination, and it doesn't necessarily get easier as your child gets older. It certainly doesn't help that the services are also ever changing. So family support workers help families to know what's available to them and also how to access it. So in accessing community services, it could be direct or indirect support. It could include home visits, collaborative meetings, resources sharing, and support with making referrals. Families can receive like one resource appointment, take what's shared and get off with that info, or they could receive ongoing supports for years or really anywhere in between. It's really determined by the goals that are laid out for the child or youth with the family's direction. And then just very briefly, how to complete a referral. So again, our website does have a referral form that can be filled out. If you want assistance filling that out, do call. This extension listed is direct link to our program associate, Laura, and she's wonderful and she can help with filling out that referral. Alternatively, if you fill it out yourself, you can email it into our intake email or fax it as well at the number listed. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Nancy Wright. I am a family resource worker with Catalpa Community Support Services, and I'm always so fortunate that I get to follow Empowered Simcoe. So very similar to what Tamara had just talked about, I am a family resource worker, and Megan, you can go to the next slide. And we support families who live in the Alliston, Aurelia, Midland, Collingwood, and surrounding areas. And again, eligibility is for children who are school age up until the age of 18 who have a diagnosed intellectual disability. And we offer a family-centered approach. The family resource workers offer case management, coordination of services, helping you access community resources, funding, school advocacy, and transition planning. And again, very similar in terms of referral process. Certainly encourage you to call our program assistant, Whitney Moore, or you can email her. And please feel free to check out Catalpa's website. We have many programs under our children's services, and we also offer adult services as well. Thanks.
Thanks, Nancy. So that's a little bit about some of those programs that are offered to you. And as we move into September and starting that transition into your child's new school year, it's important that school has all of the information about your child, and your infant development worker and your resource consultant are going to make sure that they review that discharge process with you and make sure that you have all of the next steps that you need for your child to continue to be successful in their program. So we are so excited to have your children transition into the school team. We're all here to work together. If anyone has any general questions, please continue to put them into the chat. Our presenters will hang around for a few moments if you do have any questions. Thank you for being with us tonight, and we look forward to continuing to work with you and your families.